All right, y'all know what it is, man. This one here is going to be about the Ayrian Brotherhood, Barry Mills, and verse Applebee. These are new characters that I'm bringing in. I want y'all to understand this about Supermax 80X and how we get down on the inside, how we got to make a truce sometimes, but then it goes back to normal. All right. All right, this was about the Ayrian Brotherhood, Barry Mills, and Applebee. Now, I'm going to break this one down to you, all right? Now, I get transferred to ADX. When I get transferred to ADX, they take me from Oklahoma and bring me over, the very next morning to ADX, right? To a little place called Florence, Colorado. That's the airlift over there. So they brought me over there. And when I get there, it's like I'm the first one off the plane because I'm going in the most maximum security prison. So right now, they come call me off the plane. I'm the first one getting off. I'm handcuffed. I'm shackled. I'm waddling like a duck. I mean, looking like some Con Air movie, And the whole time that's going on, I said, man, nobody would never believe that they put me through all this, right? So now they bring me in. And when I get to ADX, they put me in what they call general population. General population in ADX is being locked down for 23 hours a day. So how general is that? Gunshots to the person that created that program. Double gunshots to the person that created that program. So now they got me in general population where I come out my cell once a day for an hour, 5 days a week. The weekends, I'm locked in the cell. If the police feel like it, they take you to inside rec. When you go to rec in ADX, you on a tier, it got 18 cells, I think. About 18 cells on a tier, but they only keep 14 on the tier. They leave 4 beds open on every tier in case there's an emergency breakdown, in USP in a regular joint, and they need to have some place to put them real quick for maximum security to lock them away from everybody. So now we go to rec with the 14 of us, and any one of us could go on the rec because our security been cleared, that we not in opposite gangs, oppositions, and none of that bull crap, right? So now we go out to the rec. And we're in the rec, and I'm out in the rec. I mean, I'm with the likes of, I'm gonna say new names y'all never heard before. You know what I mean? We got David Ford. David Ford there, and we got Mario Villabona. David Ford. Let me tell you who David Ford is. I might even do something on David Ford. If y'all want more about that, big shout out to DC. All right. Relax, man. Could I finish? Please let me finish. Now, David Ford is from Washington, D.C., right? He was considered as one of the big homies. Now, he came there, he was in, where I just came from, Lewisburg. He was in Lewisburg, and he wound up, knocking a dude slam out with one punch. Damn near broke his whole face. Now, David Ford, he was the big homie, and David Ford was a good dude, man. I mean, ADX, when we locked in ADX, we all together, we a family. That's where I learned. I think that might have been the best thing that ever happened to me going to ADX. You know what I mean? Doing my bid, that was the best thing that ever happened to me. That's how I learned to bid. Sit down. I took my little 5 years in solitary confinement to figure out a plan how to get out. And I had good brothers like David Ford, Nathaniel Applebee, Sherman Dobson, a.k.a. Shakur, Mo Gary, a.k.a. Harris L., out of Baltimore. Big shout out to Baltimore as well. Big shout out to Baltimore. All right. You see what I'm saying? Hold on. Let me do this. Now, these are brothers that's, super gangsters. You know what I mean? They wouldn't want to be labeled that, but me, they know I'm from the hood and I say what I feel. You know what I mean? I don't bite my tongue. That's one thing they never liked, but they respected to me to the 100%. Now, we up in the joint, and all of us go to the rec cage together. I'm talking about this Juan Ramon Mata. If y'all don't know who that is, Google him. Juan Ramon Mata is from Honduras. You know what I mean? real. Ramon Mata, he ran with Escobar. He used to show me pictures of him riding a big white stallion over in his country along this riverbank that he owned everything. He owned hotels in Vegas while he was still locked up. He used to get, he had his own cigar. Juan Ramon Mata, this is about all of them. See, I'm giving y'all a little mixture because I haven't been on here in a minute. I had to get my head right, get things right, and I wanted to enjoy the summer for me. So I went to Atlanta for the Bronx Day weekend 2 weeks ago, and then I decided to go back to go hook up with my man, Little Von Zip. I got his video in real soon. I mean, he's going to speak on financial literacy and how to get money, you know what I mean, the legal way. That's why I went and interviewed him. That's Von Zip's son, Junior. Now, so we go to rec and all of us out in the rec cage, Now, I'm talking about we got Aryan brotherhoods mixing with blacks, and we all sharing, the same pull-up ball, the same dip ball, the same basketball joint, So we over there chilling. So Applebee was a real character, and he wound up becoming my best friend. Like I said, I don't know. I might be a little twisted. I'm sure there's plenty of people out there because we got a lot of gangsters that watch this, that, been through this. All my best friends I fought with. If you was my best friend, we had to fight. That's how we became best friends. I had to make sure you was battle tested. Whether I won or lost, we was gonna fight to make sure that you're not gonna let me say what I want to say, not gonna let no one else say what they want to say, and I gotta be able to make sure your knuckle game is on point. You know what I mean? So that's how I move. All my best friends I argue with. But now Applebee was about 6'6", about 320 pounds, and he was solid. This man been down since like maybe 82. You know what I mean? Yeah, he been down since maybe 82, about 80, 82. And when I met him was 96, so he had about 15 in, and he did most of his in Marion. Now, Applebee came from Baltimore State Prison. Pay attention now. Listen to this all the way through, because there's always a jewel in the end of my craziness. Now, Applebee came over from Baltimore State Prison. He wasn't a federal prisoner. He was over there, and he, if I'm not mistaken, Applebee, if you out there, reach out to me. Anybody that really know this, hit me up, because this was my man. Applebee killed a correction officer in the state of Maryland, and, he was over in Hagerstown and all that. So they sends him over to the ADX for the maximum, and maximum security lockdown treatment. So he comes over there and he goes to Marion. When he's in Marion, he gets into something and whatever happens, and then he was in the USP, and then he winds up killing a white dude that was an Aryan Brotherhood. Some people say big mistake, but it's a part of business. So if you youngins want to go to prison and go through this, you keep doing what you're doing. But until you decide to make your choice, listen to this video. So Applebee kills an Aryan Brotherhood in the feds, and he wound up killing a correction officer in the state, and he made it over to the feds. So now when he makes it over to the feds, and he's in Marion, he was there so long. Because when you do something to a police, like me, I allegedly stabbed 2 police. That's how I wound up in ADX. And I allegedly started rioting in Lewisburg, and I allegedly would turn the fan into a one pop, as we call it in Jamaica, where the fan was shooting pool balls out like grenades. You know what I mean? Big shout out to the one pop. The yard man them know me a chat about. The yard man them know me a chat about. The one pop. The one pop where you take a handlebars and you cut the handlebars and, you put the slingshot rubber on it and you put a bullet in it. Boom, you hit it out and you get one shot. You know what I mean? So they call it a one pop. Gunshots to the one pop. Gunshots to the one pop. So now we up in the joint. That's what I was allegedly charged with. So now I got what they call a red flag on my jacket. That's the only reason why I'm wearing red today. Because whenever they put my name in the computer, it comes up with a red flag next to it. So all they do is scroll down the computer. Let's say something happened in the joint. They scroll down the computer, and when they scroll down the computer, they look and they see this red mark, and they go, stop. They look, see what the red mark is. Then now they look at me, and they see next to my red flag, it says inciting a riot, rioting, attempt murder on 2 police, you know what I mean? Introduction, no, it was attempt. That's what they called it, you know, because I never did it, never got, you know, I got charged for it in the prison, but, you know what I mean? I never made it out to the visiting hall to actually introduce the drugs. I'll tell you about that a little later if you want, but I'll tell you about my attempt introduction, you know, in another video. This one's about Applebee and Barry Mills and the Ayrian Brotherhood. So, you know, I had all that on my jacket. So if there's a riot in the joint, anything dealing with the police in the joint, anything, you know, like race orientated, they come and they grab everybody with a red flag and they put us all in the shoe. That special housing unit for my new people just coming, AKA the whole, AKA solitary confinement. So, you know, I had that on my jacket. Applebee had that on his jacket. They rode them. Now, Applebee was intricate in, and Sherman Dobson, you know, and Mo Gary, you know, was intricate in getting us transferred out of ADX. Because these brothers came from Marion, and when they opened up ADX, they took the worst of the worst in Marion and they sent them over to ADX. That's why I made another character from Baltimore, good brother. You know what I mean? I know a lot of y'all don't even know these names that I'm mentioning, but I'm just giving them their props as they deserve it because they held it down on the inside for what we call man time on the inside. Not the man time on the outside, which is the real man time when you're living in society and you got a job, you're taking care of your family. So let's get that straight for the rat troll bastards, flip-flop wearing in public. I hate you guys, but you know, let me get back. I just get so sidetracked and irritated when I think about these dudes. Because if you decide to, you know, break the law or join a team, you must follow the rules, regulations, the morals, codes, and principles of that team. You know, and anything goes when you're in the prison. But we got these brothers in the prison, and it's like when I was with Applebee, right? Now, I'm with Applebee over in general population. They call it Gen Pop, you know, make it sound cool. The police say, oh, you're going to Gen Pop to make you feel like, you know, you going somewhere special, but you're still locked in 23 hours a day. They crazy as hell, the mind games they play with us, you know. But they send me over to Gen Pop, and I come out and I meet Applebee, and we had day rec one day on the inside. And it's like whenever me and Applebee got together, it's like, I'm not even going to front. I'm going to call a spade a spade. I was an arrogant, y'all might still think I am, but I was an arrogant dude back then. And I thought I knew everything. I'm on the street making millions of dollars. I'm driving fancy cars, schooling the best of women, buying all the jewelry. I'm traveling. I'm doing what I want to do. So nobody couldn't tell me nothing. I used to disrespect my females' mothers. Yeah, I apologize to all the mothers I disrespected. Because, you know, I like to ride. I'm going to get back to the prison, but I like to ride. Now, I'm at this girl house in the Bronx, right? Over there on Sedgwick. Her mom's bad. Her mom's is gorgeous. They were like mixed with the Virgin Islands and the Philippine Islands or something, you know. But she had a black complexion, Chinese eyes, nice body, had the nice little breasts, looked like, you know, a set of ripe mangoes sitting on her chest with little grapes, you know what I mean, for nipples, you know. Just wanted y'all to get the visual. She was gorgeous, you know, and she was about 19 at the time, and her mother must have been, you know, maybe 38. You know, she was under 40, but her mother was bad. Her mother was full grown and she was grown, but you could look at the mother and say, like, damn. But I'm up in the crib, and while I'm chilling in the crib, me and her little sister up in the crib, and her mother getting ready to get off work. She said, come on, we got to go outside because I ain't allowed to have company. So we went and we in the hallway. So we hang out in the hallway. Her mother come upstairs. Her mother see me with these big jewels on with my chocolate mocha complexion sitting there with the bucket hat on, and I got the BMW M3 outside, and, you know, Mom comes up the stairs and she got an attitude. So as soon as she comes up the stairs, she looks at me and she's like, who's this? You know, so, you know, I'm just how arrogant I was, just keeping it 100. I'm like, who are you? You know, she said, well, I'm such and such's mother. I said, you know, well, I'm her friend. You know, she said, didn't I tell you not to have company? So here go my old arrogant ass jumping in. So I tell her straight up. I said, Company? We in the hallway. We ain't in your crib. She said, no one's talking to you, young man. I said, nah, you asked a question and made something, a statement that was false, so I wanted to correct that. She said, who do you think you are? I said, I'm her mother. You need to give me some respect. I said, okay, no disrespect, but, I was just answering your question. All right, well, you stand over there and don't say nothing. So, me, I checked it real quick. I said, hold up, moms. Let me tell you like this, right? I pay my own bills. I got my own roof over my head, and I got my own set of nuts. So that makes me a man. And I can say what I want to who I want, when I want. She said, oh, no, baby, you better not talk to him no more. Don't bring him up here no more. Boop, 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 boop. And she throws me out. This is a whole other story. This should have been a whole separate video, but I'm going to give it to you right. Now, I'm going to stop right there. Let me ride back to the prison, man. If y'all want the rest of that story about, me and this girl's moms, y'all put it in the comment because I want to stay back on point. Because a lot of the rat bastards and trolls and flip-flop wearing and public clowns, you know what I mean? They look for something. They say, I ain't talk too much. You deviate. Yeah, I deviate because I'm riding, man. You come to my channel to see what I'm doing, and I choose to ride and take you on a ride with me. That's all. Just entertainment, nothing to disrespect nobody. But if you want to hear the rest of that, put it in the comments. So now, back to the penitentiary. So I'm over there and me and Applebee used to argue about everything because I was arrogant, thought I knew it all. You know what I mean? Nobody couldn't tell me nothing. But Applebee, I'm not going to lie, he spent all his time in solitary confinement from Marion for the past 10 years reading these big, I want to see my hands. You remember them dictionaries that come this big? You know what I mean? Look like this. They look like, big joints. He had like 3 of them up there, and thesauruses and stuff. That's how I learned to pronounce the word thesaurus. I couldn't even read and write at the time. And every time we were talking, he was using these words that we didn't understand. And I'm like, man, talk English. He's like, man, I am talking English. I'm like, I'm like, what you talking about? So, we go back and forth, and if I said something, he'll tell, like I said, thesaurus, the book for the dictionary. He'll say, come on, man, thesaurus, say it, pronounce it with thesaurus. I'm like, come on with that crap, get out of here. But that's what type of dude he was, And if a word came up, like my man Billy Rosario called me the other day, Billy, I got to find your number because I didn't log your number in. But we were there with another brother named Billy Rosario from out the Bronx. Good brother. Billy taught me a lot about bidding too. Billy also came over from Marion. All these dudes came from Supermax lockdown, and I came from Lewisburg. And a lot of people came from Long Park. Big shout out to Drac 415 out the Bay Area, out Richmond, and Spicy Mike, because they was out there with me too. Like I said, I was with people all over the country. That's why I got content. I could talk all day, But if you don't like the content, feel free to tap out, Because like I said, this is a gangster channel. And gangsters do what they want. Suckers do what they told. So I've never been doing what I've been told. That's why I've been having such a hard life. And I enjoy it because that's what made me the man I am today. But anyway, so Applebee would always correct everything. And we went back and forth because in my mind at the time where I was at, I thought he was belittling me. And then he would laugh when I would get frustrated. And it made me even madder. But like I said, this dude 6'6", 320 solid. So I knew I couldn't whoop him. And I didn't have a knife because I'm in ADX. The way we used to get our knives in like ADX and Marion, when you was going to put your work in, they gave us a TV in the cell, little 13-inch black and white TV. We take the TV, smash the TV, and they got a little aluminum bar going across the joint that holds the picture tube up, and we take that up and stay up, or take that out, stay up all night, sharpening that, go to the rec yard tomorrow, put your work in, because you must put your work in, because when they come see the TV broke and that bar missing, your ass getting locked up anyway. So if you go that mad that you break the TV to get your knife made out of it, you better use it, because either way you screwed. So now, me and this man argued, but, he generally had respect and love for me because he was like, man, and I could look at it like how, no disrespect to the gang members, but like how, us old heads look at the gang members, meaning the generation before you. Because the way Applebee looked at me is like, damn, you made all that money. You couldn't read or write. You understand? You're illiterate. And you made all that money, and I didn't see nowhere near part of that. But I should have, because I got the intelligence. You know what I mean? But I got the common sense. You know what I mean? The street sense. I didn't need to get mines out of a big thesaurus. You know what I mean? I didn't need to get mine out of a thesaurus or a big, Webster's dictionary or none of that. You know what I mean? I got mine, firsthand, from every step I took was a learning experience. So now, we argued all the time, but, we be making best friends. And I had, I had braids then. I was in Lewisburg. Listen to the crazy stuff. I'm riding, but we still on the prison joint. I'm in Lewisburg and I go get my what is that? I go get my hair braided. You know what I mean? And it's funny because when I was on the street, I ain't talking about a dude braiding hair. The first thing you think about is like on the street, you get your hair braided in by a female and you sit down between the legs. You understand? But in the prison ain't none of that. Dude stand up behind you, you know what I mean, or next to you, while he's standing up, he's staying away from you and he's holding his hand down and he's braiding so that he's not too close to you and all of that. So that's how that get down. So Applebee used to braid my hair and I have to listen to conversations with him, what I thought was belittling me every time I spoke on something. He went to interject and correct and things like that. Now, let's ride. So now, me and Applebee, Sherman Dotson, and Mo Gary, we all meet up again over in the next phase of the ADX step down program. The next phase is called J Block. General population, I was in D Block. Then when you go over there to J Block, then you got people from like D Block, E Block, F Block, they all come over when you've been doing good. You stayed clear conduct for 18 months. They send you to J Block. We make it to J Block. So now instead of being locked in 23 hours a day, we only locked in I can't even add the hours because what it was is every time they fed us, they opened the doors and we went and ate in the sea, like right behind me, right? What we could see behind me. They had little picnic tables and a TV out there. So when they opened the doors for like breakfast, lunch, and dinner, because they used to bring them to the cell over in general population. With J Block, they just open the doors and then you go down there, just a tier, like you see that top tier, just the top tier will go eat, and they had like 20 minutes to eat. Go get your food from the front, like right up there, them yellow bars behind me. You go get those, the police slide the food in that little white hole you see over there in a tray, and then you sit down at the table, whoever you sit down with, and you eat, and so on and so on. But now, they did that for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then we had morning rec, you know what I mean? Or we had afternoon rec. Morning rec is, you might have indoor morning rec where you do your rec in that day room that I'm showing you behind me, with the picnic tables where you can play chess, cards, you know what I mean? You take a shower, you do what you need to do. Because in general pop, the showers was in the cell, but when you get to J Block, the showers is in the dorm because they gradually getting you motivated, and synchronized to get back in general population and be around other people. So first they had us around 14 people in general population and we all could go to rec once a day for 1 hour. They monitored that for 18 months. You do 18 months and you don't fight nobody, argue with nobody, get no incident reports, you move over to J Block. J Block, like I said, now you come out 3 times a day to eat your 3 meals and then you get a morning rec and then you get an afternoon rec. So if the upper tier go out to rec in the morning to the yard, the lower tier would get the inside picnic table area and the access to the shower in the daytime, when they go, and then vice versa for the afternoon. So that's how we did that, right? So now we out one day for afternoon rec. While we out on afternoon rec, I see, Barry Mills up there and he leaning up on the rail, and I see Applebee up there talking to him. So I roll over there and, 'cause that's my man, Applebee. Me and him got close, even though he always what I thought was belittling me. But at the same time, when it become black and white, you got to hold him down. So I roll over there and, they talking and Barry introduced himself to me and said, yo, boom, you seem like a good dude, man. I ain't got nothing against you. I'm not racist. I just believe in white pride and that we the superior race. Me and your brother, we just up here talking, you know what I mean? And we making a truce, So I looked at Applebee and Applebee said, yeah, So they made a truce that, him killing the Aryan Brotherhood in the other joint, they was going to leave that alone while they're there in ADX to get out of ADX and then the beef is on, Do you understand what I just said? There's the Aryan Brotherhood and the Black Brother, they made a truce that they was going to leave their beef alone while they was in ADX Supermax until they could get out, you know? So now, Applebee already been on there over 10 years. Mill been about the same thing or a little more. So now, you know, to speed this up, you know what I mean? So now they shoot Applebee, you know, they shoot me first. You know, they send me over to Allenwood. I leave ADX in May 99. May 99, I leave ADX. And at the time, when I left ADX, it was already out before they put it in the law books that my case was overturned by the Supreme Court from June 1st, 1999. But this is May. But, you know, they argue the case ahead of time and then the ruling come out and then they, you know, write up the, you know, the ruling that you're going to use to show to support your issue. So when I go through there and as soon as they see my name, not only do they see the red flag, they see that my case was overturned. So the police said, oh man, your case was just overturned by the Supreme Court. And I'm like, huh? I'm in ADX buried on the ground for years. I don't know nothing about what's going on in the Supreme Court because they gave us limited communication in that ADX Supermax. So they told me, I said, yeah. All right. So when I get to the dorm, somebody else tell me, yo, your case was overturned. I'm like, damn. He said, yeah, when you get to the USP around the law books, check it out. It should be out by then. So I get to the USP. When I get to the USP, everything's straight. You know, I read to see my case overturned. I got hope up. This 1999 June. So I'm thinking I'm going home. I'm finally going home. This 99. I've been locked up 93. Damn, 5 years, 6 years. I'm good. Go home, still strapped, everything love. Now, I get up in a joint, and then I found out my case was overturned, what they call in legal terms, in dicta. You know what I mean? In dicta. In dicta means in wording, meaning it was... what was the brother? Nathan, I'm gonna give you his name right now. Richardson. That was it. Richardson. It was two brothers, GD brothers out of Detroit. They went up and they used my case to deny their case, and you know, but so when they went to appeal it to the Supreme Court, prosecutor quoted my case to say why the Richardson brothers shouldn't get it. You know, so once they did that, the Supreme Court had to rule on my case in order to make a ruling on the Richardson case. So they ruled on my case, said it was wrong in the Fourth Circuit. But that was just in wording because my actual docket number wasn't on the Supreme Court docket number list. You follow me? Okay. So now I got, as the lawyers was telling me, I'm calling lawyers like a mother thinking that I'm getting ready to go home. They don't say, man, you got an uphill battle because it wasn't your case. In front of them, it's called in dicta. I said, oh, man, whole nother fight. So now we get up in the joint. So I'm there about maybe a month, 2 months. And then here comes my man Applebee. He follows me. Like I said, we used to argue all the time, and we was limited to the people we allowed to talk to because we only had 14 people on the tier that we had to deal with at the time. When we got Dr. J Block, I'll give you a whole joint on how the whole ADX run. If you want to know how the whole ADX run intricately, you know, put it in the comments and I'm gonna break that down. But you get there, they had general population, then they had J Block, then they had H Block was the other step down. After J Block, they turned the H Block into the maximum security unit where they got Ted Kaczynski and all of them at right now. You know, so now. Then you get to the Unicore block because you work in Unicore for half the day. They get you ready because, you know, I wasn't working no Unicore, wasn't no black man, you know what I mean? That was no real gangster going to Unicore to work. You know what I mean? The brothers that was just doing time, they went, but I was on my gangster time, so I'm not going to work for the Unicore because they took the money from the Unicore in order to fund the prison to buy more locks and bars and cement to, you know, to lock us in. So I refused to work for them to do anything with it. Like, let me ride. Let me give you another one. You know, I just like to ride, and I'm in a good mood because I ain't been up here in a minute. So now, I'm in Lee County. This is about 2003. Ride with me now. Ride with me. I'm in 2003. I'm in Lee County. There's a white dude in the unit with me. Cool white dude, you know what I mean? He didn't run with, you know. He was what they call an independent. He didn't run with no gangs or nothing. I'm going to get back to Applebee. He didn't run in Barry Mills and Ayrian Brotherhood. He didn't run with no gangs or nothing. But bottom line is, one day I'm up at Main Line. I see, and he used to go around and he was like, he knew how to fix everything. He was a good handyman. So they had him fixing everything. So one day the gate didn't work, you know, up by the main hall, by the chow hall. And they calls the white dude up there to fix the gate. The white dude go up there and say, what's the problem? They say, nah, the lock is not working. So we need you to fix the lock so it works. So, you know, the convict, not inmate. There's a difference between an inmate and a convict. An inmate do what he's told to do, and a convict does what he want to do. So when they told this convict, yo, well, we need you to fix the lock, he said, yo, I'm not going to fix that. And they said, nah, what are you talking about? You're not going to fix it. You don't know how to fix it. He said, nah, y'all better call somebody else from the street to come fix it, the civilian. And they were like, nah, we need you to fix it. You know how to fix it. He said, yeah, I know how to fix it, but I'm not going to fix it. I said, what do you mean you're not going to fix it? He said, look, man, this is how gangster it is in prison. So you youngins listen to see if you're ready to be on this type of time. This man told them straight up. He said, look, I'm not going to fix no locks so you can lock us men in. I'm not going to fix no lights, you know what I mean? No cameras so that you can monitor us, record us, and try and prosecute us. So anything that deals with your security, I don't fix. And yes, I do know how to do it, but I'm telling you now, I'm not going to do it. So the police said, what are you, refusing an order? He said, you call it what you want, but I'm telling you, I'm not going to fix no lock to lock the other men and myself in. If you need a lock fix, you call a locksmith from the street. I'm not doing it. So they locked the man up, you know what I mean? So he went to lock up, and they try to tell him like every 60 days, every 30 days, you know, when they did the little review, they asked him if he's ready to go back out. And he said, well, I go back out. I'm telling you, I'm not fixing no locks. I'm standing on what I stand on. He stayed back there 6 months going through that till they finally wound up sending him somewhere else. But that was gangster. Round of applause. Round of applause. All right, chill out, y'all, chill out. You see what I'm saying? Round of applause. You know, that's how gangster it is in prison. These are the type of men, the gangsters that I'm with. People don't like me using that name because they feel, you know, they feel intimidated because they know they wouldn't go as hard as these stories that I tell. So they get in the comments and become trolls and rat bastards and all that crap. And that's why they definitely deserve the gunshots. You know, just sit back, enjoy the ride, man. You know, I don't want to have to go through that again. I don't want you to have to go through it. I don't want your child to have to go through it, your comrades, your family, and no one. That's why I'm telling you these stories so you can know the madness that I put myself into by poisoning my community, which I always apologize for. And that's why I'm trying to help fix them in any little way that I can. So all you rat bastards, trolls, and flip-flop wearing in public dudes that got an issue with my method, to how I've tried to correct my madness, you know what I mean? Take that. Now, let me get back to where I'm at. So we up there, right? So they had a truce. So now, got to get the earth. You know, and I even put this little joint in here for you so you can hear it, right? This is how we're going to do it, you know? All right, you see my little sound effects? You know, I'm improving. You know, that's why I say the Cash App, you know what I mean, is on the screen. So you know it's $ Unique Mecca Hall, no ones in the last name Hall. Make sure you look at that, hit the logo, make sure it says that it was created in 2020, not 2023. Now, so we in the joint, right? So me and Applebee get there, and Applebee was like with the Gap band or something like that when he was on the street, like as a kid. It's 18 before he got knocked. So, you know, he knew how to play all these instruments. When we got to Allenwood, they had a rec room that had a band room that had the bass guitar, the trumpet, the clarinet, the trombone. You know what I mean? Yeah, the trombone in the prison. Come on, dog. You know what I mean? So, and they had the drums. So Applebee used to go in there and play the drums, you know, and he was good at it. All that fancy stuff you see the white dudes doing to one of those bands. Slam, slam, bass trap. And that was Applebee. So that was his little pastime. So Applebee minded his business and just kept going to the thing. Me and him hung out. And then here comes Mo Gary, came right behind me, you know, and then Sherman Dobson. So all of us from ADX, and these are my mentors. These are the men that I looked and continue to look up to, you know, because they haven't shown any flaws on being anything than a man, you know. And they always tried to lead me on the right path. I just wasn't trying to hear it at the time. Just like a lot of y'all listening ain't really trying to hear it at this time. So now, we in the compound, and Applebee just playing the drums, doing what he got to do, and, you know, I'm selling heroin. I got all the stamps, so I'm giving him stamps so he stay out of trouble, and I'm looking out for him because we was all up there together, right? And then one day, here comes a kite, you know. Oh, the other dude that played the drums, right? Another dude that played the drums, I got to tell y'all about. If y'all want to hear this story on how this dude took an officer hostage, you know what I mean, and tied him up in a police station and demanded to go to his mama's funeral, you know what I mean? You put that in the comments because I don't want to ride too much today. But I just wanted to give y'all something lengthy because I ain't been on here in a minute. So I wanted y'all to get my charming personality one more time, But, so while we there, Applebee was always arguing with the dude that played the drums. He was like a military dude, special. He was a black dude. You know what I mean? Looked like a square, but, in good shape. But he used to play the drums and all that too. And he was into everything Applebee was into because Applebee wasn't really a criminal. He was just he was a stick-up kid. You know what I mean? And so we up in the joint and here comes a kite. A kite comes from ADX, from the Ayrian Brotherhood. The same way they sent it to Lewisburg written in piss, remember? And you put the candle, flames from under it, let the steam go up on it, and then you could read it. Well, they get a kite to Allenwood, and it was sent to this little white dude that I was with in Lompart that stabbed the Texas dude because the Texas dude owed him money, and he refused to pay the Texas dude refused to pay him and kept carrying him politely, like, soft pushing him off. And then one day he told the white dude straight, man, I ain't got it. I'm not giving it to you. Get up out of here. He told him that one night at lockdown. The dude ran to his cell, ended the night, gave him a chance to run around the compound, collect whatever money you got to collect. So the white dude went to the Texas black dude's cell and said, y'all, do you have my money? The dude said, man, get away from, because the dude lost on the poker table, came in broke. He said, man, get away from me, man. I ain't got nothing for you, man. I get it to you when I get it. You know what I mean? So they leave because the police was locking out. Next morning, the Ayrian Brotherhood dude came back and, stabbed the crap out of him. I told about that in another story. I might redo it again for all my new people because y'all don't understand. Go back and look I got over 200 of these prison stories. So don't just wait for a new video. If I don't put up a video one day, that's because I want you to take time to look over the other videos because there's a lot of jewels in those videos that would help you. So don't just focus on dealing with, what I'm putting out today. Because what I put out yesterday, 6 months ago, they all fire. You know what I mean? Check out the numbers. Everything is good, the comments and all that. So now, that white dude that did that, he was with us in ADX also. So then now, they wound up sending him to Allenwood the same way they sent me, Mo, Gary, Sherman Dobson and Applebee, over there to Allenwood. Here come the white dude. So when the white dude come, Barry Mills sends a kite and tell the white dude that he got to kill Applebee. This the same Barry Mills, right? This so you understand how crazy this is. This the same Barry Mills that had the truce with Applebee and ADX. But now Applebee is out of ADX, so that means the beef is back on. So he sends a kite out there for dude to kill Applebee. But Applebee is nothing easy. New black belt, karate, all that shit, hands lethal. So he don't kill cop in the state, kill white boy in the fair. I think he killed about 2 white dudes in the state. I got to talk to my man Sherman Dobson and get these numbers right so I could do a retraction or let you know that I was accurate with it. Because I try and be as accurate as possible. Now, he gets the kite and he's scared. He's scared to death to have to go up against Applebee. And this dude was no more about maybe 5'6", 5'7". You know what I mean? Maybe 160, 170 pounds. And they sent a kite for him to kill Applebee. 320 solid black man that done got 2-3 murders on his jacket in the prison. So you already know that wasn't going to be nothing nice. So what the white dude, and no disrespect to the white dudes, I'm just reporting the facts like it is. So I'm just a prison journalist right now. No disrespect to the white dude in the Ayrian Brotherhood, but this dude turns around and was so scared, he took the kite and he took it to the SIS, the Security Investigation Service for the prison. That's like the DEA and the FBI. So could you imagine telling your man, that he got to go kill somebody, and he go tell the police he want me to kill him, and I don't want to kill him? You know what I mean? So can you lock me up? Because if I'm on the compound, I don't kill them, they're going to kill me. So I need you to just lock me up so they'll give the hit to somebody else because I won't be out there. And they know that's why I didn't carry out the hit because I got locked up, Instead of, but what he should have done, penitentiary rule, like I said, it's a gangster channel. What he should have done is he should have just, snuffed. No disrespect to our black people either, just giving it 100. He should have just snuffed a black person and started a fight with a black person. Physical fight, he could have healed up with that real quick and went to hold that. That's called a tough man check-in. Instead, he's doing a coward check-in. He's becoming a rat bastard. Did you hear what I said? He's becoming a rat bastard. He goes to the police and he hands them the letter from Barry Mills. They say, hey, they want me to kill, this dude. I don't want to kill him, you know what I mean? Because I'm getting ready to go home soon. And now they lock his dumb ass up, which is what he wanted, you know what I mean? But he was so scary that he didn't even want to fight a black dude no more after he done stabbed the crap out the black dude in Texas. California from Texas. So they lock him up. So me and Applebee over there one day, we in the band room, he playing the drums, and I'm talking my trash on the mic, and keep it going, I like the way it's going down all night, y'all, and bounce to the beat now, and he's and we having a ball, everybody crowding around the little room in the window listening to us, and we having fun, and here comes about 30 police come walking right up in the band room past everybody, and they come say, Nathaniel Applebee. They bring out his paperwork. They grab Applebee and they take him, and they bring him to the shoot. So while they taking him, we ask him, yo, what's this about? He's even asking, what's this about? I ain't been doing nothing. I come to the band room every day. I don't bother nobody. And they said, nah, this is administrative lockdown. Administrative lockdown is the police putting you on PC to what they call protecting your life. He said, well, I don't need no administrative lockdown. I don't need nobody to protect me. I ain't got no issues. And so then, he said, nah, you tell me right here why you locking me up. I'm not letting you move me. So he told us told him in front of all of us, Kite came, somebody was supposed to, kill you, so we trying to put you in a hole to protect your life. So he's like, man, I don't need you to protect my life. Get up out of there. He said, nah, we got no choice. You got to go to the hole. He goes to the hole and he's pissed off. He's trying to get out the hole. And, Applebee, like I said, been down about 15 years prior. And this like 99. So Applebee telling him straight up, say, look, man, I don't need your PC. I don't need none of that. Bring me a tough man sheet. A tough man sheet. See how y'all get jewels? That's why I say the Cash App is on the screen. I don't care if it's $1, but at least subscribe if you're not subscribed. That's equivalent to a Cash App. Make sure it don't say no one in the last name Hall. It's Hall, not HA number 1L. You know what I mean? And make sure it's created in 2020. But he said, bring me a tough man sheet, because that's what we did in Lewisburg. You want to know more about the tough man sheet? Put it in the comments. Yeah, I want y'all to tell me what you want. You see anything on the news, on the internet, on the Instagram, the YouTube, whatever that you want my opinion on, you shoot it to me. And, I decide what I'm going to do from there. But anyway, so he's like, nah, give me a tough man sheet. Now, they said, nah, we don't do that no more. He said, what do you mean you don't do that no more? He said, man, I don't need your PC. So they got him in a hole every day, like every week, once a week on Thursdays, the administration walked through, the captain, the AW, the warden, the SIS, the unit manager, the counselors, and they make sure that everybody in the SHU got everything they need on that one day and was getting what they needed from the officers during the other 6 days. So that's where you make your complaints or your gripes. So when they come through, Applebee asks the warden every time, yo, what's up? Why am I back here, man? I mean, I ain't do nothing. I want to go back to the compound. He tell me, nah, you back here for your own safety. He said, man, I ain't never needed no crackers to protect me. This is how Applebee talking. He said, I ain't never need no crackers to protect me. Let me back on the compound. You coward mothers, and he going off on them. You know what I mean? And they said, nah, we're going to look into it, but we are going to put you back out. And they kept spinning them with that. But what it was, the warden was getting ready to leave, and the new warden was getting ready to come in. A new warden getting ready to come in. So the new warden comes in when the old warden was promising he was going to let him out, and this been going on for about 4 months. So now here comes the new warden. So new warden, little Jake Mendez. I got to give him a round of applause. One of the best wardens I ever had. Big shout out to Jake Mendez. All right, relax, y'all, relax. Now, Jake Mendez was a little Mexican police from out west. Used to run the Unicorn, was an AW Unicorn Long Park, and then they sent him over to the East Coast. I guess he wanted to relocate. They had room for him, so he come over there. So Applebee go to the door, say, yo, what's up, man? I've been back here 4 months, So Jake Mendez was real cool, but he told him, okay, let me look into it. So Applebee was already tired of it because it's been going on for 4 months, so he went off on Jake. He said, man, screw you, you little Mexican, and he goes off on him. So now that was the worst thing he could do, because now they pack him up and they ship him back to ADX, No charge, no nothing. Just from them sending the kite out, they're going to kill him. And I know a lot of y'all want to know, but put it in the comments. Y'all have a discussion. Y'all want to know, was the troops back on when it was over there in ADX? With him and Barry Mills, especially now that Barry Mills done sent the kite to bust his gun at him with his soldiers. Put that in the comment what you think happened. Let me get your opinion on that so we can get some dialogue going. So they winds up sending it back to the white dude is dead, you know? So now, after they send Applebee back, they go and they get the white dude and they sends the white dude. You know, let me end it there, man. I've been on long enough, man. Cop the book of Raw and Harlem. Make sure you subscribe. Follow me on Roku, Unique Mecca Audio, my podcast, Unique Mecca Audio at iTunes, Spotify, and all that. Make sure I get that emoji. You know what I mean? At least. And if you're not subscribed, subscribe. If it's too gangster for you, no disrespect, unsubscribe. I will understand. All right? Now, so that's how that played out. So let me just tap out right now. All right?
Cheers, cheers, toast the crime, toast the crime, the crime, the crime, the crime.
Fresh out the can of 26, he back on the strip, getting back in the mix. What he mentions a gift. You stand up 10 toes down, and I suggest you pay attention to this. Take a little gully posse and put it in Harlem. He cut from the bottom, came up from the bottom. Drop the book, you should go and get it. The Instagram page and the YouTube, you could go and visit. Then you could consider yourself LinkedIn. Sit front row and get Jews from a kingpin. How he went through it, so you ain't gotta go do it. To not pay attention would be stupid. Talking about a man that probably put your grandfather on. Probably the reason that him and your grams got along. A man that generated millions on the block, did his time, never squilling to the cops, make an audio. Get it live like 2 G's in the night. Drop top beamer so shiny. I let shorty go, she was whining. Treat her like my past, she behind me. Spend a couple bands on the dapper Dan. You be back again, getting green like a Packers fan. No cap, it's a roaring uptown. They be whoring uptown, Dominican bust down. Now we on the positive, we got a lot to give. Now he trying to stop the kids from being inoperative. So take heed, homie, lend an ear. He started in uptown, he gon' finish dead. But now it ain't about selling drugs, buying cars. It's about buying property to make the community ours. So we can give back to the youth them. Cause they the truth them. And bless up to all the rude men.